Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious, back at you today with a video on 3 big giveaways that the person that I'm speaking to or the person that this employer is speaking to is old, is outdated, all right? I wanted to really focus this because I've noticed that there's a huge concern, you know, especially if you're getting up there in years, you know, late 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Which an increasing number of people in the workforce are. There's an increasing awareness of, is ageism getting in my way? And having worked with people for many years now, I will say this, the number one predictor of ageism, when that rears its head, right? Because no one's actually going to say this person's too old. The number one reason has nothing to do with how old you are. It has to do with the behaviors that you are putting out and the conclusions that people are drawing based on what you are doing or not doing. And if someone draws a conclusion that says, wow, this person is kind of out there, eh? Pretty freaking set in their ways. Pretty freaking bitter, to tell you the truth. Pretty unwitting or unwilling to learn or adjust to how we're doing things. These are not, you know, whether you want to call it ageism or not, these are not applying, you know, these are not positive things. They're not things that anyone wants, right? In anyone, hiring or otherwise, right? So it's important to be aware of it. And I want to just go through 3 very obvious, very clear signals that you want to be aware of that will prevent you falling into this trap, okay? And this goes for anyone at all ages, really, all right? Here's the first one. If you have no web presence, if I look up your name right now and you have no web presence, or it's just like, I don't know, like there's no rhyme or reason whatsoever on that first page, like I can't tell, that's a problem. And I know there was a time when you could say, oh, you know, the early adopters, the people who are really like web forward, they're going to have this all carved out. I'm just going to focus on being invisible. You know what I mean? And people are still doing this. I'm going to focus on being invisible. Hopefully no one sees me on LinkedIn. Hopefully no one sees me on any other channel and I'll be able to get past. That doesn't work anymore. The invisibility test, all that says is that you're inept right now. That's what it says to most employers right now, is that you have no idea how to handle it. Because there should be a couple of basics that everyone, and I mean everyone with a capital E, okay, should have up and out right now, considering the fact that we're in 2021 right now, okay? What are some of them, okay? Number 1, yes, you need to have a LinkedIn profile. Yes, it's got to be more than just a placeholder. You got to have a nice picture, right? You got to have a headline. You got to have an about section. You got to have a couple of major roles that you've had in your experience section. You don't have to go as in-depth in that as you would in your resume, for example, but you got to have enough to say, okay, this is credible. What are a few other things that you can do with that profile? Well, you can use your email contacts and have LinkedIn sort through that and automatically send out connection requests. You want to have at least 100 connections in your LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, again, it just doesn't seem credible in our day and age, right? And anyone can do that easily using something like that email thing. Here's another thing, okay? Think about 2 to 3 evergreen pieces of content that you can add to your LinkedIn profile. A 500 to 7 word article, a 3 to 4 minute video, some posts, things that you can attach to your profile that by extension are going to be the next place people are going to go when they're going to check you out. Engagement is great on LinkedIn. If you can get into the habit of doing a couple of posts every week, watch how quickly that magnifies the number of interviews you get if you're in job search mode, the number of networking opportunities you get, and how fast. It's a very powerful way of generating that kind of soft power. And beyond that, beyond really controlling the LinkedIn and having this basics of the connections, by the way, that'll ensure that for most people, that LinkedIn profile is the very first or almost first thing that you see when someone looks you up. That's really important. But beyond that, I would say a website, especially if you operate in the visual arts, if you operate in anything that could benefit from visual support like that. Think about a website. You could use something like Squarespace or Wix to get set up really, really easily. They have a lot of done-for-you templates and things like that does not require a web degree to do, and you can't wait around for that anyway. We've got to move in owning the things that we can own, okay? And this one, people have got to see the image that you want them to see on that first page of Google search results. If they don't, you have a problem. If they don't, it's probably a reason why you haven't been getting the kinds of interviews and offers that you have been looking for. It is not an if, it is a must, and please hear me on that. Next, if you use any other channels like YouTube, you can make sure that it is professional. Make sure that it aligns with what your brand is, what you're trying to put out there, okay? And for everything else social media that does not relate, make sure that it is marked private. Make sure that it is marked closed up, okay? Doesn't mean that people aren't going to be looking for it, but you want to make it as hard as possible. You want to draw the attention to what you want people to see. You want to move attention away to what people do not, okay? So those are some of my advice and my tips in terms of controlling the basics of the web presence. Next, another dead giveaway that someone is sending out those, old signals, okay? If your job search strategy is predominantly resume forward instead of relationship forward, you are coming across as old and outdated. Okay? Everyone knows, and this is going double and triple now for the younger generations. We know that relationships, one-on-one relationships, are the key to everything. It's the way to solve what ails you in a company. It's the way to solve what ails you as an individual. It is definitely the way to get the offers. That's where the 80% plus of opportunities lie. So, if you're a highly qualified professional and you're coming in and the first thing you do when getting to know me is sliding over the resume like I'm an HR person and waiting around, that marks you as old. That marks you as outdated. That marks you as someone who either didn't know, didn't care, or is still doing it the way that you're supposed to do it in the 50s. Well, guess what? I don't have a Manhattan next to me. It's not Mad Men. There's not cigarette smoke all over here. We don't live in that world. No one's going to vet your resume. Stop looking at the resume as a stand-in for building relationships at the high level, which should be the most important thing that you do, even more important than your current job should be that, because that is going to feed you for the rest of your life. Okay? So, how much of your job search strategy is focused around blasting out to job postings, and how much of it is focused around who's feeling the pain of what I solve, what is what I solve at the highest level, who's feeling the pain of it, how can I get in front of them, and why? What's a better pretext? Yeah, you might be thinking, I can't be a job seeker and do that. You're right. You're right. When you're looking for a job, you should not be spending the most of your time on the call with someone saying, do you have a job for me? Right? That's low level, right? But what if, just spitballing here, what if you were a consultant? What if you were an expert? What if you had something to offer that allowed you to build a new relationship, add value, and in so doing, figure out what's really going on at these companies and thereby solve that pain? It's one step away, but it's systematized. It's something that you can use over and over again. Think like that. Don't think obvious. Don't think that's like, listen, how great of a date would you have if you sit down for a date and it's like, hey, how's it going? I want to have intercourse with you. I want to have sex with you. Would that work? I know that may be what you want, but would that work? It's not going to work. You got to build the relationship first, right? You got to do all these things. And if you put your focus on that, that will come. That's the way that we need to be looking at getting ahead, and that's the way we need to be looking at jobs. And if that's not happening, it's immediately marking you as someone who only knows how to do it the old school / soon to die way. Here's the last one, okay? No obvious learning or growth momentum present in what we see. When it comes to your LinkedIn, when it comes to your resume, when it comes to what you're talking about, how much time are you spending every week learning new things? How much time are you spending getting curious and asking yourself, you know what, I can take that LinkedIn learning course. It's an hour and a half of my time, I can jump in. What's this weird marketing tactic that I see the kids doing that, you know what, I'm tired of being scared, I'm tired of being doing it. How much time is spent actually pursuing your curiosity and building it, and how much time is being spent making excuses for what those young whippersnappers are doing or not doing? Really challenge yourself. You got to have some markers going. Make that a part of your life. The more you learn, the more you bring in these other colors, the easier it's going to be for you to bring that energy right into that next professional setting. And that is the ultimate determiner of whether we look at someone and say, are they outdated or are they with it? Okay, so I hope that helps. If you want to go further into my world, the next place I recommend you go is helloanish.com, HELLOANISH.com. I've loaded up free videos that you can take, as well as a free masterclass that will take you deeper into how to generate career opportunities without going that job posting route. Critical, everyone should know it. Keep the questions coming, guys. Talk soon.